Okay, now we've got some users back in our database. What we'll do now is we'll head over to the account controller. And at the moment, we don't have, or we've removed the password hashing stuff that was going on, but we know now that identity is going to take care of this for us. So what we'll do, we'll come up to the top and we're going to remove the data context from inside here, but what we're going to do is replace it with the user manager, and we pass this the app user, and we'll call it user manager. And we're also going to bring in the sign in manager. Again, we use the app user as a type, and we'll call it sign in manager. And let's just bring in what we need. We need the ASPNET Core identity for the user manager and the sign in manager. And then we'll just go ahead and initialize the fields from parameter. And then we'll remove the data context from here, and we'll also remove it from here as well. And then we just need to go update our methods inside here. So we'll start with the register method. And the first two lines we're going to keep. We're going to check to see if the username is taken. And we're also going to map from our register DTO into our app user. And we'll also keep the method in place to make the username a lowercase username. And then what we need to do is say, instead of these two lines, what we'll do is we'll say var result equals, and then we'll say await, and we'll say user manager, and we're going to use the create async method, and we're going to pass in our user and then the register DTO.password. And this both creates our user and saves the changes into the database. But we'll check to see if this has succeeded, and we'll say if results.succeeded, then we're going to return a bad request, and we'll pass in the results.errors. And then we still just return our new user DTO. And let's take a look at what we need to do for the login method. So as I mentioned, we've still got access to our users table, but we get it via our user manager. And we can still use the include method inside here to bring back the photos for the user. And we're going to get our user here. And we're not converting the username to lowercase here, so I'm just going to do that now, just in case. And if we don't find the user, then we're going to return unauthorized. And then what we need to do is we need to use our sign-in manager to actually sign in the user. So what we'll do is we'll say var results equals, and then we'll go await and use our sign-in manager. And we've got a whole bunch of different options inside here about how we sign in a particular user. And what we're going to use is the check password and sign in async. So we'll use this one. And this takes three parameters. It takes the user object that we have. It takes the password, which is going to be in the login DTO. And then we also provide a Boolean to say if we want to lock out the user on failure. We're not going to do that, so we'll set that to false, but we'll pass in our user. And then we'll pass in the login DTO.password, and then we'll set false to say that we're not going to lock out the user if they get it wrong, and move that down. And then what we'll do is we'll check to see if the result has succeeded. So we'll say if !result.succeeded, then we're just going to return unauthorized, as they probably have got their password wrong at this point. And the rest of this also stays the same, and we're going to keep our user exists method, but we're going to change it to the user manager and use the users and any async inside there. So now we're done. Actually, we've got our application to the state it was in before. We should see no errors in the console. We've got users seeded in using the user manager, and we should now be able to sign in using the sign in manager. So what we'll do is we'll head over to Postman and confirm that. And inside section 16, we've got a bunch of requests for various things we're going to be doing with identity. So the first request is just to log in as Lisa and save the token to the environment. And we'll make sure we can get a new token, so we'll click send, and we're getting a token, which means we've signed in successfully. Obviously, if we have a bad password and try list, then we're going to get unauthorized. And if we put the D back in, then we get our token. And let's make sure we can register a user. So we'll go to the next request, and this is going to API account register. And if we take a look at the headers, nothing inside there. And if we take a look at the body, then what we have here is a new user to register to our app. just Bob, with known as a Bob, date of birth, and all of the fields that we need to actually register a user. So we'll see if this one works, and we'll click on send. And we now have logged in as Bob, and we have a token. And we were saving this to Bob_token. So let's just make sure that we can get the users as an authorized user. So we'll click send, and we can get all of our users. Nothing's changed there. And we're literally back to where we were. And let's make sure we can still update a user as well. So let's go back to section 12, or section 9 in this case, to update a user. Let's make sure this functionality still works as well. And I'll just say updated intro 1 and click on send. And we get 204 no consent. And if we go and get the user by username and click on send, then we should find that we've got the updated information there. So we're good. We're back to where we started before we introduced identity. But we're going to take it a step further next, and we're going to take a look at adding roles to our application.